McAfee scan, real or fake?
George, I hear there's a new McAfee targeted phishing campaign out there.
Yeah, Ken, and I know we don't like typically cover this type of thing because it's just a basic, it's a phishing campaign. We've seen it, a million times, but I kind of wanted to bring this up here. It's fairly new. I believe it was discovered by researchers yesterday, although it's probably been out a little bit longer. But and all of the stuff that's been occurring, well, I guess last year now, all the security events that popped up, everything from SolarWinds to Log4j. I've had a lot of people that I know, family and friends close to me, started seeing these things in the news, and they're not specifically IT savvy, but they're now getting curious. They're like, what's going on? Like, I see all the security stuff. Like, I'm not really too sure what a lot of it means, but like, what have you been seeing, and how does this affect people who are not part of like a company or an enterprise? And is this something that like we should look out for? So, seeing this, I kind of want to just bring this out there in case anybody is on YouTube and is just doing a random like phishing search or something. Maybe this will pop up. And the interesting thing about this specific McAfee phish campaign is they put a little effort into it. Not as much as I would have liked to have seen, but it's a typical email where the name comes in as McAfee, even though it's not really coming from McAfee. And it says that your total protection service is expired. And I think, a lot of people now are probably signing up for McAfee. Plus, they offer so many promotions that a lot of people just have it on their machines, and not even paying for it, but they just get it free, like from a new build or some software that they installed. So the interesting thing about this is it was pretty well done, whereas the email itself is constructed fairly nicely. There is one little caveat that you can catch where the limited time offer expired in March of last year. So if somebody's really paying attention, they'll notice something strange right away. Most people, though, I've fallen for this too, not necessarily for malware, but like I've skimmed through things and you just skip over certain things, right? But when you click on the link, obviously it takes you somewhere else. It's not McAfee. It actually brings you to a website that simulates a scan on your machine, and the scan is pretty impressive. There's a YouTube video where the researcher actually goes to the site, even though now they said it's been pulled, but it actually simulates what looks like a pretty interesting scan, and pretty realistic. And it tells you that, we found this stuff and it's not good. And, in order for us to continue, we need to re-up your subscription. And I feel like, the more and more sophisticated these become, and they don't even need to be that sophisticated to grab, some people. But the more people need to kind of pay attention to this kind of phishing campaign, right? Like, because this is ultimately how people are getting in for the most part. It's a link that takes you where it's not, where you think you're going, but somewhere else. And it could carry all kinds of terrible things, right? In this case, they're probably just trying to capture, credentials on your machine, maybe to like some kind of, banking login, which is terrible, right? Because the last thing you want is somebody to come in and siphon out your checking and savings account. But they could essentially do that if they have your login, right? And they can just start pushing money to external accounts, this and that. So I kind of just wanted to bring this out here now, and kind of have people take a look at this specific, fairly well created, phishing campaign. It's not just a link that takes you somewhere where you'd be like, no, it's pretty, they put a little time into it. And I feel like this kind of campaign, especially with security endpoint related tools, we're going to see a lot more of, because we're also seeing a lot of tools keeping up with, like we discussed earlier, right, with catching ransomware. I mean, a lot of the EDR products out there are becoming very good at catching ransomware and remediating it. And, the bad actors see this, and they're going to try to come up with ways to, okay, we know people are probably already protected. Let's try to catch them in a little bit of a weak moment and maybe we can get into their machine, or we can just, do something else. And, that's from an end user who's not part of an enterprise. If you're part of an enterprise and you get into one of these messes, who knows what kind of damage they could do. Yeah, like I said, typically not something we cover here because this is very high level and there's not much, meat into this, but I just wanted to put it out there to start the year off that we're probably going to see much better versions of this. But I was pretty impressed to the extent they went to create this kind of fake scan on your machine. So yeah, I hope you guys found that interesting.
I find it really interesting because it's actually very similar to some things I've seen in the back half of last year in the space around Android malware. There were actually a couple cases that I looked at of specific malwares that were targeting Android, where you would get usually via an SMS or some kind of message to say you've been infected with malware XYZ. So they're actually telling you in the message you've been infected and to download this app to protect yourself further. And it's really just sideloading a different app onto the phone that then drops the actual malware. So it was a little bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy by giving you that tell. So it's really interesting to me that this has pivoted into this space too. But kind of just like you were saying, George, oftentimes this is to potentially get access to a bank account. So someone reads, "Oh, my bank account's being targeted." They might go past the safeties that are on in their head to say, "Oh, well, the year is wrong," or "I didn't go to this website," or something. So it's just how much better the phish has become.
Yeah, that's kind of like one of the stories we did last year, kind of mid last year, with the HTML stacking, where the actual phishing was coming in pieces, being reassembled on the local machine, and then being created. So as you say, George, this vector of phishing is still there. And then, it ties into Ken's social engineering, which is why I think social engineering for me is one of the top, even beyond ransomware, because it's just so many avenues that can be done. And once one person does it, then you open up the ransomware, then you open up whatever is in that payload or whatever's clicked upon. So yeah, I think this is a great article. And like you said, just awareness for people, because a lot of people just, like you said, sometimes just scroll through and they may not have seen that date said 2021 or March, what it was, and just keep scrolling and click it, and lo and behold, it's too late. So it's a good story. I mean, it's one that, people just need to be aware of, just continue. It's a continual thing, as you know.
Cool. Yep. Yeah, great points. And I guess the best advice we can give to people, which we probably already gave a ton of times, is maybe don't click on the link that's in the email. Go right to the site. Go open up McAfee on your machine.
Yeah.
There's probably a place there that'll send you right to their renewal subscription page. Go right to your bank website. Don't click through the link. They're getting better at saying we will never supply you with a link to reset your password. But that doesn't work, right? I mean, people still clicking. So yeah, but yeah, thank you guys. I thought this was a good awareness.